Hi there and welcome back to Japan, where we're going to be listening to a little bit more of baby metal, except for it's not baby metal. That's right, this is a cover. Now this was recommended to me through our Reddit page, where you can do recommendations for us, and obviously we've heard virtually everything by baby metal. In fact, the only things we're left to find before a new album comes out in a few days is just little weird intricacies. But I do love, when I say intricacies, I mean strange rare tracks. But what I do love is I do love a good cover. Now this is a cover of Doki Doki Morning, which you guys might remember I sort of nervously put in my top 10 baby metal songs of all time at number 3. The reason being is that although it's not their most metal song, it is just a really good effective pop song. So I was thinking, what do I want to hear from a cover of this? I was kind of thinking something like a punky version would be quite fun, but there's so many different ways you could approach this song. I really can't wait to hear what it is. Now, it's done by a group apparently called KIBA of AKIBA. I know nothing about this group. Interestingly enough, if you don't know, AKIBA is a name often used to refer to Akihabara, which you guys might know is the famous sort of electronics and maid cafe and otaku area of Tokyo. Instantly, if you don't know why the word Akiba is used to refer to Akihabara, Google it and look it up. It's a really interesting story about the history of that area of Tokyo. But we're going to be checking out KIBA of AKIBA's version of Doki Doki Morning. As I say, I know nothing except for the fact that I really like the original. This isn't the music video, apparently it's just an audio version, so less waffle, let's get on with it. Now I have to reach over to my computer, turn the volume up because I forgot to do that before we started, and press play. This sounds more like a remix than a cover. It's faster, which is never a bad thing. I don't like that throaty vocal thing. The mix is really bad. It almost sounds like they're singing to a karaoke track, but they seem to be having a lot of fun. The main thing is the fun element so far. Oh, I want a video just for this chorus. I have a mental image of how this looks. I can almost imagine a group of England rugby fans singing this in a pub for some reason, when I hear it sung like that. Oh, that was a bad bit of mixing. That was horrible. Alright. Sometimes I say we've got a lot to unpack. I don't know exactly how we're going to go about unpacking this. Do you know what? I guess I had to be prepared for that in the right way. I was thinking, oh, this is going to be a cover. And then it sounded more like a remix. And then I just kind of came to this point where I don't know if this is an established band or what's going on. I'm assuming that they were reusing recording backing. It just kind of sounded like karaoke. Everything from the performance, which I don't know whether that counts as cover, parody, or piss take. I think that was just like a fun bit of parodying. The mix was awful. It just sounded like the vocals had been slapped on top of the backing, right down to the way they were sort of bouncing around left to right, but they were so loud that they weren't settling in. It just sounded like, oh, I'm being punched in every ear. It just, the mix was a total disaster. Did I like it? Well, I liked the original. If I was comparing it to the original, it loses a lot of what the original had so well in that. Well, I mean, this is the thing. It kind of demonstrated. Sorry, the sound of me readjusting my seating position. I'm sitting cross-legged now. You don't need to know that. You can only see the top half of me anyway. When it came to the arrangement, one of the reasons why the original worked so well is it cemented the baby metal thing that their sort of high-pitched vocals over a heavy backing worked because of the contrast. You know, high-pitched vocals, you can be more nimble, you can be more quick, you can have more rhythm, which a lot of the time that sort of throaty metal-sounding vocal, you can't just put rhythm into that because it's not as much of a nimble sound. So by taking the vocals and going, for the best part, they had, like, in the verse, they had the really throaty thing, which was mixed way too loud, so it just sounded like you were listening to, like, what's that Japanese horror movie where the creature just goes, it's like The Grudge or something? It just sounds like a sink drain emptying. Yeah, it kind of sounded like that. And, you know, it didn't work. It wasn't nimble. It wasn't pleasant. And then they had the high-pitched vocal in the pre-chorus, which kind of worked, just only because it was harking back to the original. And then the chorus, I don't know, the chorus I liked as parody. I mean, if you're taking that from a musical element, it sounded messy. But as parody, it just kind of, it's such a fun song. It's nice to hear someone singing it, like I say, like they're in a pub. You know, sort of semi-operatic, overly confident, whoa, sort of vocal. That was fun, but musically they added nothing to the song. Most of their vocal experimentations didn't really help. They kind of dragged the song towards what it originally was a contrast to. You know, it's a contrast to traditional metal by doing metal in a different way, and by dragging it back towards metal, it didn't really do anything except for remove a lot of the song's individuality. And the mix was just god awful. I mean, how that ever got finished. I mean, I've got to assume that was a demo and that wasn't a finished put. If that was ever put out for sale for money, then the engineer really, really, really needs to get a good slap round the back of the head. That was awful, the mixing. But when it comes to the song, was it fun? Now, this is the interesting thing. Would I listen to that? You know what? I mean, if I was listening to some baby metal songs and I just wanted to contrast against, you know, hearing their sort of higher register voices all the time, and I just wanted to hear something a little bit different, I could throw this on for a laugh. It makes a nice contrast to normal baby metal. If you like, the contrast to the band who contrasts is contrasting again. Confusing, right? But I think this would make a nice little breakup in a baby metal playlist, and I think in that sense it's good. I think it's fun. A lot of credit to the fact that you can really hear the artist is enjoying it, and that's lovely. I mean, music's for enjoyment after all. Even if it didn't exactly elicit the most enjoyment from my ears, it was clearly enjoyed by the people playing it. So credit to them. But I think this serves little more purpose than, well, I guess, you know, we can't be critical as this is sort of a remix karaoke cover thing after all. What can you expect from it? But it does serve little more purpose than as just a little bit of maybe a break up in a playlist, a contrast to the artist who originally did it. I guess in the best examples of a cover or a remix or anything, you'd be wanting to hear someone bring something new to the song. This certainly doesn't do that. It certainly doesn't add anything to the song. But as a little bit of a fun contrast, as a giggle, on that sense, yeah, totally get it. So that was not what I expected at all. Still recovering from that, but thank you so much for the suggestions. As always, it's a great one to. I'm going through a lot of suggestions we got on our Reddit, so as always, good. We've got a Reddit thread for suggestions. Get in there and give us your suggestions for what songs you want me to listen to next. Obviously, if you're new to the channel, If you haven't been following us since year dot, we've got about 500 odd videos at this point. So go back and have a little look. We've got playlists for individual artists, and we've got just like all of our things on there. If you search for our channel, you can find what we've covered so far. But if there's anything we haven't covered, then definitely give us suggestions. We love suggestions, and it could be new artists as well. But as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Get on those social medias. They're all linked in the description below. And tell me what you think in the comments, because this channel is always about opinions, because let's face it, music's subjective. But I'm really interested to see what anyone says about that, and if they can tell me anything about the artist who made that, because, oh crikey, that was weird. For now, from Japan, ciao ciao.